Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Vietnam Innovators. I'm your host, Hao Tran, the CEO and co-founder of Vietcetera. This is, toward the beginning of our new season with Vietnam Innovators. Lots of changes this season. How many episodes? Don't ask me. It might go on for a little while, but changes are coming. This is one of our last episodes that we're filming in this very studio where Vietnam Innovators was born. So some of our guests are experiencing the last of the first chapter of Vietcetera's kind of studio set. So look out for that, guys. For those of you watching and, of course, listening, same audio equipment. We're still doing the same stuff. Anyways, we've got a guest here today. He's been in Vietnam for a year, but his company that he represents has been here for some time. When I mean some time, too, the company is a global one, Amazon. But as you guys know, Amazon does much more than just the marketplace. It does Amazon Web Services, of which Vietcetera is a customer, AWS, not sponsoring this show though. And then there's Amazon Global Selling, another component, which is very B2B focused, focusing on entrepreneurs, SMEs, helping Vietnamese entrepreneurs, manufacturers, brands go global. So we have Gijae Seong. He is the head of global selling for Amazon Vietnam. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for your warm welcoming. Also,
Yes.
pretty surprised and happy to hear that you have a pretty accurate knowledge on global selling on Amazon. Because a lot of people, as you mentioned, understand Amazon as a more of marketplace.
Yes.
But as you say, we have a lot more unique business units under Amazon umbrella, and then global selling is one of them. And then, thank you for introducing the global selling in the right and accurate way.
My pleasure. Amazon, people look at the big headlines, right? And they think Jeff Bezos selling millions of products per second. But where are those products coming from? They're not just originating from the US or China or wherever they're coming from. But the reality is a lot from Vietnam. But how does that process work? How does the whole supply chain connectivity between buyers and sellers work exactly? And that's where AGS, Amazon Global Selling, really comes into play. So before we kind of deep dive into that, it looks like I know a little bit. I'm not an expert, but I maybe know a little bit more than the average person. Maybe explain in a quick elevator pitch what you guys are doing and why in Vietnam.
Right. So Amazon Global Selling itself is one of the subunits on the Amazon consumer business. So basically, as Mr. Tran already mentioned, we're here to find the Vietnam brand owners and manufacturers, and we're helping them to go global through Amazon so that they can reach out to global customer directly. So in Amazon, we have 21 marketplaces across the world, and we have more than 200 countries customers coming and visiting our websites, and then they buy the products. And we have 300 million customers in the world. So we're providing this vast opportunity to the sellers and the manufacturers, brand owners, anywhere in the world. And the Vietnam, also, we can talk later more about the Vietnam's potentialities, but it has a unique also products and then unique selections they can bring to the global customers. So that's why we're here, set up our team here, and reaching out to reaching out to the brand owners here so that we can maximize the potential of Vietnam. Also, we want to bring back those good selections and to delight our customers in the world.
Got it. And for those of you listening globally, Vietnam is an emerging, if not very established manufacturing hub of all sorts of products, everything from super advanced electric vehicles to sneakers to everyday products like this mug. And so you guys are helping to bring those suppliers, those brands to access more customers at the end of the day.
Yeah.
How that works exactly, we'll kind of go into in a little bit. But yeah, my first kind of, I guess, broader question is about, the last 2 years, no mystery, Amazon stock price has skyrocketed, more customers than ever. Everyone's been benefiting. Stock price aside, the company's just been growing massively. You see the headlines like the number of people Amazon's bringing onto the team has been accelerating to serve the demand. Let's take a snapshot at e-commerce's growth. What do you see the next 2 years, let's say, it's been 2 years of the pandemic. What are the next 2 years going to be for Vietnam as a player in the whole e-commerce ecosystem? What can brands here expect in terms of will demands shift for manufacturing here? Will suppliers kind of move here? Like, what does that picture look like?
Right. So basically the next 2 years, right?
Yes.
So
let's start with that.
again, I'm not a fortune teller. I don't know what's gonna happen next 2 years, right? But looking at the trend at the moment, also other countries who probably had one or two steps ahead from compared to Vietnam, then perhaps we can somehow deduct what's gonna happen for Vietnam next 2 years. So I think past 2 years, as you mentioned, a lot of manufacturers move into the Vietnam, or a lot of foreign direct investment made in Vietnam. So we see increase of export. I think the export in Vietnam has been always strong for the past 20 years. The GDP, Vietnam's GDP also grow like average 6.5% for the past 20 years, and mostly driven by export. And then when it comes to export, I think that nowadays we also see a strong growth from the export via online. So this is, I would say, it has been the trend for the past 20 years, building the Vietnam economy itself to the certain level, so that the people and then the manufacturers, brand owners can actually think about not only be a supply chain, but they position themselves as a brand owner, and then build their brands and reaching out to customers, not only country or the certain target country they were engaged through the buyer in the past. If you understand the B2B kind of language, then now they can reach out to directly. Now they are brand owner, they are the supplier, as well as they are the one who meet the customer directly. So this is happening over the past couple of years. So I think Vietnam still have, so I would say it's a transition period still, transforming the offline businesses to online, or I would say expanding from offline to online businesses. And then also the changing the way of thinking. In the past, it was, as I said, it's more of a supply chain. So let me find some big buyer in US or in Europe or in JP, and then let me try to position myself as a strong manufacturer. We can do it with a cheaper cost. We can provide good quality products. I think that was what, as a manufacturing hub, as you say, what the people focus on for the past couple of years, right? But now they can still do that. I don't deny that they can still do and make a great business through that. But I would say, especially from the pandemic, where I think this actually brings a lot of opportunity to open up the eyes of the people that what they can actually do with the power of digital and then online. So now then they realize that, okay, I can still find the customer through my buyer, and they're reaching out to them a traditional way and keep producing the high quality product here. But at the same time, with the digital, I can actually go cross-border, right? Without physically going, but I can actually get access to the customer over there. I understand what they want, what they buy, and then I have all the data accesses. Then they can actually bring their products to the level that customer would appreciate in other countries without going through someone in the middle. So that is what they realized for the past 2 years in pandemic period, that the power of a digital, power of online, and then also opportunity, what that opens for them. So in the next 2 years, I will expect the acceleration of move from that offline to online as a manufacturer or supplier, to transforming themselves as brands, and then building their brands and then talking to the customer directly. That's what I foresee in the next 2 years gonna accelerate. And at Amazon, for us, we built our team 2 years ago here, 2019, just before the pandemic. So I was kind of lucky that I was able to come and then meet people and then recruit the people, build a team.
Yeah.
And then pandemic happened, right? So for the 2 years, but we didn't do. It doesn't mean that we didn't do anything. We actually made a tremendous effort to build up the foundation for the people here. For example, introducing what is this cross-border e-commerce, what we are doing here, why this is a good opportunity. At the same time, we also build up the capability for our local people in Vietnam. So localizing the language can be always one big barrier, right? Not many people are like you, right? Born and brought up in the US and come back to Vietnam, right? The language always been a big issue. So that's perhaps one of the reasons why they're always trying to find some middleman or buyer, so that they can understand the customer through them. But But language has always been a big problem for the cross-border businesses, right? So we focus here to translate and then bring the localized experience to the Vietnam sellers so that they can easily understand Amazon global selling. Also, they can easily access to the tool. They can utilize their strength and then their manufacturing powers without any limitations because due to the fact that the language barrier. So I think that's what we did for the past 2 years, building up the foundation and then narrowing the gap between the Vietnam sellers and then what is required for the global, be a global seller and then be a good brands for the global customer. So now that we see still pandemic here, but we see this slowly, the borders are opening up and then we're more comfortable. I would say this is a new normal already. So in the next 2 years, then we are here to provide more educations and then increase more awareness of this great opportunity. Also, reaching out to the local brand owners with great selections, and then we basically be an evangelist here about the global selling opportunities. And that's what we're gonna do. So that I foresee what's gonna happen next 2 years.
Gijae, so thank you for sharing that answer. The last 2 years, we've seen an acceleration and adoption, especially on the consumer side. And you guys luckily were here when that wave caught up. But of course now, the job continues. Education. I think that was a very key word for you guys. Education, evangelism, the fact that these suppliers may not be comfortable selling, it's not really direct necessarily, but just a little bit more hands-on, but just understanding the opportunity and why it's a compelling one. They can potentially save costs, drive more revenue for their businesses. There's a lot of good factors that they need to know to make a more informed decision. My next question is also more about the consumer side. This is more of a global trends kind of thing, but what are consumers buying or have been buying now that everything from supply chains are a little bit tighter to shifts in manufacturing? What can you share there in terms of the consumer side?
What consumers are buying or
trends in general? How are they buying and what are they buying?
Yeah. I think this is very similar to with Vietnam here, what happened for the past 2 years, how the customer buying behavior has shifted, right? A lot of people, of course, they find it easy to buy something online or maybe because of the fear going outside exposed to the virus. So I think I can see the two things here. One, a lot of new people who are maybe not a usual customer to online businesses, now they become like a regular customer for us. Past the 2 years was a good education time. Also, they realized the benefit of purchasing something online that can save a cost, save a time, and also, of course, safety. The second thing is that there's lots of things for example, in the US, it's a big country, and then it's not like every delivery, for example, they deliver to your house. There's a pickup place, separate pickup places, or sometimes, I don't know whether you heard about Amazon Locker.
Yeah.
So there's many different places you don't actually have, you are not sitting in your house waiting for your goods delivered, but there's some other third-party places going out. But obviously, more than 70% of people prefer home delivery. And then they also afraid of going out, and even it's like traditionally that what they have been doing with the online. So before COVID-19 in the US, then there's a delivery happening in offline pickup places. But now we see it more and more home deliveries, and people prefer. So I think there's also interesting survey done. So 9 out of 10 people who are exposed to the online in 2020, almost for the very first time on online purchasing or online e-commerce, they answered they will continue buying the stuff from online in 2021, and even after the pandemic kind of slowed down and go down. Yeah, so it indeed shifted the customer buying behaviors. Yeah,
got it. Yeah. And going back to the supply side, digitization, education, those are some things. I want to play like a bit of a mock-up right here. Let's play role play. I'm a very old school manufacturer. I make, I don't know, pencils, let's say, right? Okay. And I'm so used to just selling millions of them in mass to, this guy over there, what they do with it, I don't care. But now your team's coming in and be like, hey, you can save 10%, 20%, maybe even more Maybe you can look at branding your own products. I don't know, whatever. What would your team tell someone like me in terms of that first kind of approach? How could they grow their business with AGS? What's the first kind of approach that you guys would make?
Right, that's a great question. If I am able to give one short answer to that will be $1 million answer, right?
Of course.
Honestly speaking, it's not easy, to do this transition. Especially imagine yourself a traditional manufacturer doing this business for 40 years. You cannot imagine you can change your style, your business mindset, and your production style, and all these business models overnight. No, it's a hard decision, very difficult. So my team actually in here, they spend a long time, a lot of discussion, a lot of persuasions, a lot of honest, very candid discussion over the 6 months or even sometimes 1 year to change or to make sure that these manufacturers, traditional brand owners, understand the opportunity not as a one-off option they can do when they have some time, but it's indeed a critical change. I would say it's a must. It's a new world, right? We're talking about the new world, and this is I would say the new language that you need in this new world, which is a digital, which is going online. So it's not just simply, can you also consider doing online business on top of your offline or traditional business? No, you actually, what we are telling to them is that we're asking them to change their mindset, the way they look at the business completely. So that's why it takes so long to completely persuade or get this idea into that person's heart. It takes a long time.
Innovation's almost like required these days, or you might lose your business or be outcompeted. Per se. And I think, to add to that, a lot of these owners are old mindset, and nothing wrong with that necessarily, but if you don't innovate, things might catch up to you later. But one trend I'm also seeing is that there's a generation of younger Vietnamese who are taking over the family business, let's say, who have, let's say they study in the US or, they're here in Vietnam, they're buying products online already, and they can see the opportunity. And, sometimes their family might be like, oh no, we don't want to do that. But then they kind of come and be like, me as a young customer, I see why I'm doing it this way. So maybe that's another thing to consider in terms of reaching, ownership or brand owners and so on and so forth. I think that's going to be a trend that we observe in the coming years. Amazon Global Selling plays a pivotal role as the leader in cross-border e-commerce, who supports thousands of Vietnamese seller partners go global and proudly introduce made in Vietnam products to millions of customers worldwide. By focusing on empowering local small and medium enterprises to embrace cross-border e-commerce, Amazon Global Selling contributes to bring positive transformation for Vietnam's digital economy. Gijae, my next question for you would be about what barriers are there for these SMEs? Let's be honest here, right? They're going to come up with all these excuses for not wanting to sit down and learn. What are 1 or 2, 3 top line kind of barriers that are real ones, not just mindset, but actual ones that they should know before going with this?
I still want to make some comments on that mindset. Let me allow some seconds for that. Sure. So basically, it is really important to work with someone with a right mindset. So I'm always asking this to my team as well. When they search for some great products, great selections, then they feel like, oh, this is what our global customers would like. They love it. And they go for it, but not always the results is good. It's not about the products. It's more of a mindset of the owner, whether they are ready, they are committed. Even if we onboard, we have been onboarding hundreds of brand owners so far for the past 2 years, more than hundreds, thousands of them. But the thing is that even if you're on board, and it doesn't mean that you're successful. You need a lot of commitment in order to really make your businesses established on global marketplaces, also make an impact on your online business. So it's just not easy. It's not gonna happen in the overnight. So it needs the persistence, and it needs a strong commitment. So the mindset is really important. And then it's not simply like, oh, I've always been a very daredevil. I've always been a strong businessman. I can do it. No, I don't think so. You need to buy in this idea. You need to see why it so matters. And then you understand, okay, this is a great opportunity. And at the same time, as you say, there's a challenges. You have to understand what challenges, what it takes for you to be successful, right? And then still you want to you want to do it, you have a strong commitment, then I think we can work together. We can make a future.
Okay.
So the barrier, then now we talk about the barriers, right? One thing is obviously the language as a barrier. Yeah. So if you don't understand the language, of course, Amazon will try to translate everything. But still, when you look at the customers, and there's a certain limitations when you try to appeal your products into their language, right? You can use a translator. Of course, nowadays
you guys have local teams, though.
Yeah,
but
we have
the
local
marketplace is mostly English.
Yeah, we're helping them to find what is the right products. But eventually, there's a lot of things that the manufacturers, the brand owner, they have to do on their own, right? When it comes to understand customer demands, and then they want to translate the product descriptions and the packages and the marketing messages into the right word that the customer wants. Then the language is the one barrier. And then the second thing probably will be more of online skills, right? So again, that's I completely understand where this more of a traditional background people hesitate coming in here. So it's like I would say it's kind of jungle in a way. Amazon itself is it sounds like a jungle, but and there online it enables everybody and it equips everybody equally. So you have access to some data through online tools, and then usually the online tools we're trying to make ourselves scalable, try to provide all these great tools to all the people over there. So what does that mean? Then doing the business online means that you are exposing to yourself a jungle where lots of people are equipped with the same level of tools and compete with you, right? So it's not that easy. So you need to have a very strong skill sets, how to operate online. You have a great understanding on how this digital traffic and numbers and conversion and all these things how does these things happening, right? So it will be very different from your offline traditional way of getting your big buyer, right? After 1-2 years of a persuasion, following them up, and then had some great time with them. And it's kind of different. I wouldn't say which one is better or right, but I would say online is a very different animal. So you have to have a very good understanding and skills. And then that's why we are here to provide that education, right? So
are they eager to learn those skills, you would say? General.
Yeah, I think, again, there's always people hesitant, right? Or risk averse. And then there are people, as you mentioned, most of them, second generation, they're more eager because they have a great experience as a customer, right? They know why this is important. So they are eager to know and eager to learn. And you know what? This is a bit of side answer, but when I first came to Vietnam for this particular business purpose, it was 2017. So it was 2 years before I set up my team here. So I was invited as a speaker in one of the conferences. And then there, I actually didn't have a lot of expectations because I traveled to Malaysia, traveled to Thailand, and then many different places. But when you do this kind of speech, and people their behavior is they're lean back, right? And cross their arms and they say, just come on, say something, right? Then let me see whether your talk is good or not, right? So I wasn't so much of expecting great audience and then things like that until I came down to Vietnam. I still remember that was a Gem Center right in here in District 1, right? When I opened the door, there was thousands of people are already sitting down, lean in, right? They're so eager to learn, what the people are talking on the stage. Yeah. Now they're not, of course, they're not waiting for me, but a lot of the great speakers over there, and then they're so keen on to learn this opportunity and knowledge.
Thousands of people. Wow.
I would say it was more than 1,000. I don't know exactly. I didn't count it.
It was a big crowd. Yeah.
Full. The place was full. So that was wow, this Vietnam is different. That's actually, honestly speaking, we talk about the manufacturing capability, export, etc. But my first impression was the people. They're here, eager to learn. They're fast in learning. We have a lot of young, online savvy entrepreneurs in here. So that's why my first impression. And then that's why I believe going back my team and then to my managers and then my leadership. Say Vietnam is different.
Yeah,
we should invest
here. We have to be here right now.
Yeah, exactly. That's
amazing.
What happened.
That's great.
Yeah.
Those are the insights we love to have on the show. Thank you for that story. My next question for you is about the potential of Made in Vietnam. How is that perceived on the global marketplace? I'm sure they are, of course, proud of their products. You should be. But how are they perceived on the other side? Is that like a deterrence? Is that a good thing, compared to made in China perhaps, or other made in wherever? How does that global positioning kind of stack up?
If you think about yourself as a customer, I mean, maybe some time ago, I remember about 20, 30 years ago that in my country, for example, back in 2018, 1980s or 1990s, right? Then we look at the products and we are keen on to know which product, where it come from, right? Made in Japan, made in Germany, made in US, and then it brings some credibility of the product quality and etc. Honestly speaking, you know what? But now in 2020, this new era, and then this nowadays, I don't think made in what country really like differentiate, in terms of customer point of view. Made in Vietnam, I think, as we are established in Vietnam as one of emerging manufacturing hub, already be in a way in Southeast Asia at least, that's already manufacturing hub, right?
I'm very curious. I mean, you don't probably know the exact numbers, but the percentage of products made in Vietnam that are sold on the global marketplace have probably just gone up like that in recent years, probably, right?
Exactly.
Are there exact numbers?
I'm not
quite.
sure. Yeah,
a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because what I know is that the Vietnam export number, right?
Sure.
The last year we delivered more than $300 billion, which is higher than Vietnam's own local GDP.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, the Vietnam local GDP was less than 300. So which is anyhow hugely export driven. So as you say, I don't know exact figure, but the percentage of made in Vietnam products contributing to the global markets, I think, is increasing very fast.
Okay.
Yeah. So people also have an interest in the Vietnam's more like genuine products like rattan, home. I think the number one product I see at least in Amazon from Vietnam is home and then kitchen products and home decorations. A lot of small furnitures, and then of course like mug cups and then things like that. So that this is one of the right, as well as big, also is fast growing. So a lot of good Vietnam manufacturers we're working with are creating these small unique items made out of wood or these materials.
Got it. And let's talk about the Amazon brand. We're talking about mindset and language and these other things, and it's probably fairly easy to approach people because Amazon is a very big name, and I'm sure pretty much everyone recognizes it. How is the Amazon brand developing in Vietnam, especially without the marketplace here? We have AGS is probably one of the juggernauts moving it forward here, and of course AWS. But looking at AGS, how is that brand kind of perception? How has it evolved over the last couple of years on every side of the equation?
Right. That's also a very big question, right? Well, the past 2 years, I would say, I think I mentioned earlier about the people general concept on Amazon, right? And then even AWS, although AWS actually been here earlier than AGS team here, but a lot of people also a bit confused, what Amazon really means. And then in the earlier days, when I got a job in Amazon first, like 7 years back, and I also had to explain what Amazon and the AWS are different to my wife. So it's not that easy to understand as a general customer. So we also did some survey on Vietnam, the customer, how they perceive Amazon. And then a lot of people have a good understanding on what Amazon is. And then they have a pretty positive image towards that brand. But when it comes to more of sub-teams like global selling, then there's a lot of question comes in. Of course, a lot of people see it when they see the news in Amazon, and then they easily kind of imagining that Amazon is gonna come to.
They just see the headlines. They don't actually read the insights necessarily.
And then they're gonna come in here and then open up the Vietnam marketplaces. A lot of speculation.
Is that happening?
Sense, right? I don't know.
No comment.
Yeah, nobody knows. I mean, maybe or maybe not. I'm not sure. But one thing I can say for sure is that Amazon has a great interest in Vietnam. Great interest in Vietnam, actually.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So I think for the past 2 years, what we have been doing here is that, of course, trying to increase the awareness itself. So Amazon is not like something like outside of Vietnam. We are already here. And the second thing is that we are here to drive the export business, not launching the marketplace here, right? So we have to increase our brand name, as well as we have to fix and get the right concept of Amazon global selling team here. So that was kind of a main area in terms of driving the brand awareness that we focused on the past 2 years.
Got it.
Also, we try to introduce the real cases, real exciting customer seller success cases, so that people have more like better idea what it really is. Because if I say something about this concept, say something about the concept to the customer, then it takes a long time for them to understand. So it's always seeing is believing, right? So we're for the past 2 years, then we have been making a lot of great the success cases, interview with a seller, making a video series. So we are sharing. We are also spreading out through the multiple media channels, and so that's why we have been focusing for 2 years in terms of brand awareness for front. And
so
then,
yeah, the last 2 years, a lot of case study building, putting out the success stories from Vietnam to the world through AGS. What does 2022 hold? It's the third year. I mean, I'm sure you're still doing a lot of that. What can we expect in terms of new initiatives over the next calendar year and beyond that perhaps you haven't done?
Right. So for the past 2 years, it was more of a foundational year for us. So we're looking at the gap, right? What is missing here, and then we wanted to build up basically the plan to address the gap first. So the first gap I mentioned was about the brand perception and the concept, right? The second gap we focused a lot was the localization. But even seller, they want to sell on Amazon at the beginning and 2 years back, it's all English. There's nothing they can do with Vietnamese. Now we enable them to choose the language. There's a drop-down menu in the system, then they can choose a Vietnamese, and they can ask in Vietnamese. Not only look at the menus, read it, but they can also reach out to the seller support team, for example. We have a seller support team speaking Vietnamese, so they can email them.
So you didn't have that when you first came here?
No, not at all. You have to do it in English. So now we're providing a lot of support in that front. So that's the second sort of building block for making the great foundation. The third part is obviously building local team here, so that we already established 2 teams, one in Ho Chi Minh, the other one in Hanoi.
How big is that team exactly? Maybe you can't share exacts, but
yeah, we cannot say exact number. Yeah, we're growing. Sure. So basically, the Hanoi teams do cover the people in the northern part of the country, and then we know Vietnam is a long country, right? So and there's a very distinctive culture as well. So we want to build 2 local teams that exactly understand the people in the north and south and their culture, so that we can find the right target. Again, I talked about the seller success cases, but who creates the success cases, right? Well, our local team will reach out to the high potential high potential brand owners, manufacturers, and we are working together. We are building them successful on Amazon, and then we get their story and then making a video. So it's a good virtuous circle, right, in a way. So that's for the past 2 years. Then now, talking about the 2020 and then moving forward. So I would say this 2022 is a growth. It's a year of growth. So building on that foundation, that we want to accelerate what we have been doing. So now we build up some foundational ground. So we are expanding a multi-channel on the online, Facebook, YouTube, and then Zalo and the other channels. Also, together with our PR, increase awareness, also give a good education what it means doing the global selling with Amazon. Also, second pillar is that we are also recruiting, we're building the education team. So previously, the education was more on the providing some materials, right? Self-education materials and all that. But we realized that especially global selling is a lot of a blocker, a lot of challenges. I wouldn't say it's an easy thing to do. So we provide not only self-serving tools and the education materials, but we are also building a team of education, so that they can actually provide the hands-on, online, offline, and hands-on, and very detailed, very high quality contents.
Like workshops or even one-on-one?
As long as the pandemic situation allows. Yes, and then, of course, we're going to make it as online first, but when the situation allows, then we're going to do the offline. And then these teams will only focus on education.
I'm imagining that Gem Center, panel discussion you're on, you have thousands of people. Perhaps your workshops can be just as long.
We can do that. Actually, we did it in 2019. There was an annual conference where we invited 1,500 people on the spot.
AGS conference?
And then, of course, the past 2 years, we changed it to the online format. But due to the online, we are able to meet more people. But I understand there's always people eager to meet in person to person and then get the vibe as well. So once the pandemic situation gets better, then we're gonna do such big scale conferences.
Fantastic.
On top of smaller scale, more regular, more because smaller scale, then you have this kind of a feeling that you can actually ask questions directly, right? So we are also building up that capability through this year. So maybe in the later down the road, then you will hear some of the exciting news from Amazon on this front. And the other growth is obviously keep expanding our local team to reach out to the local brand owners and manufacturers. By the way, if you know anyone good one, then please refer to us so that we can help them to really be a global brand.
No, of course.
And then last part is that we have we are focusing on building the great relationship and then a great program together with the government agencies. So now it's obviously everybody suffered from the pandemic. So there's a bit of up and down in terms of preparation, but we've actually been very good terms with lots of government agencies. So we're building up for the past 2 years, building up the good understanding on the businesses, why this is important for the company, not only company level, but as a country level, why this is so important. And then we found the mutual interest here. Obviously, Vietnam government wants to drive and accelerate the export. And we are here, we're talking about export opportunity, right? So we have a great understanding each other. So now we're building some programs that can accelerate the people understanding on this opportunity and education, and eventually build a business on through Amazon, reaching out to customers and globally. That's what we're gonna also perhaps we'll be able to mention to you and the people in sooner or later in this year.
Okay.
So these are the last piece of what we are focusing on.
I have two short questions to kind of conclude today's podcast, Gijae. The first is, what product types or categories of made in Vietnam have been excelling and you guys really want to focus on? Because let's say I'm like a sneaker maker. I don't know if that's one, but like I want to hear that from you. Like,
okay.
Yeah, if you're a sneaker maker, you have to be on AGS. Like, what are those product types?
Right. I think so. In Amazon, the way we classify, or we call it a product group, it's the highest level of grouping the products, and we call it hard lines, soft lines, and consumables. And then Vietnam is very strong in the hard lines and has been strong and will be. Within hard lines, our top 5 categories like home, kitchen, home improvements, and then furniture. And then, these kind of things are our top categories within the hard lines.
Furniture makers, for example.
Yeah. So furniture is actually a very interesting part. This is really strong in Vietnam. I don't know whether you saw the news last year. So Vietnam to US export, China always been like one of the top, 1 or 2 across all the categories. But when it comes to furniture and wood products, Vietnam was number 1. They overtook China last year. So has a great potential here. But at the same time, furniture is not easy because of a big volume, right? It's exactly. Heavy, big, and then expensive. And then the one who can overcome that logistic cost issue will gonna get a big share out of furniture business.
Great.
So this is a future investment. I and my teams are really focusing on this, but we know that there's a lot of hurdles to overcome to really open up the opportunity for furniture online. So this, I would say, is a future opportunity within the hotline.
Got it.
But the small products like small home decorations, maybe small chairs or foldable products and foldable furnitures, these are easy to ship out. So I think this is still one of the top categories that Vietnam are selling into Amazon, also getting a lot of good comments from the customers.
I think it's safe to say that all categories are high priority. So anyone making furniture or anything else, actually reach out to AGS. Final question for you, Gijae. I'm sure you guys are hiring. It sounds like you have 2 very large teams already, significant numbers of people. Very vague about the exact number, but just want to give a quick shout out. I'm sure you guys are hiring. Like, what are those roles? What does that look like?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, this is a great opportunity for me. So obviously we have a growing team. We need people across multiple positions. At the moment, we need account managers. Of course, we need the frontline people who go and reach out and then introduce this great opportunity directly. Also help those brand owners to be successful. So we need account managers. Also, we need more marketing people. Again, we're trying to increase our awareness, given the education. So we need more marketing people, more education trainers. So account managers, trainers, marketers, these are the main the people that we're looking for at the moment.
Okay.
But we do have a more positions, interesting position like a program manager or etc. So if you're interested in maybe the people listening to this podcast can reach out to me through LinkedIn, or you can search Amazon.jobs. That is our official site.
Got it.
So you can find the Ho Chi Minh or Hanoi-based job over there.
Okay. Yeah. Well, very good. We have only tens of thousands of people will be listening, so hopefully one will apply for a job at Amazon AGS. I think that concludes today's podcast. Gijae, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure learning about AGS. Very distinctive. What they're working on has a very high impact on Vietnamese society. So we're looking forward to over the next few years how that's going to play out. Gijae, thank you for joining the show. And we hope and wish the best for AGS in Vietnam.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting for me and then giving this great opportunity to talk about the AGS. Yes, as you say, we're gonna make an even bigger opportunity for the Vietnam. So I hopefully, I have another chance to come back to you, and then have another this great chat, and then by the time then I will probably have more things to share with you, more success cases, more happy news that how the Vietnam products and the companies are doing the great job in the global marketplaces. Thank you.
Thank you, Gijae. Everybody, thanks for tuning in for another episode of Vietnam Innovators. Drops every, I think, Tuesday morning. Might be changing. Anyways, Tuesday morning. New season, Vietnam Innovators, hosted by me, your host, Hao, CEO, co-founder of etc. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next time.
Bạn đã sẵn sàng chung tay cùng Amazon Global Selling đem niềm tự hào Việt đến hơn 200 quốc gia và vùng lãnh thổ.
Amazon Global Selling is committed to working with local businesses to deliver their products all around the world. Whether you're an established enterprise or a startup who desires to find a new path for Vietnamese products, Amazon Global Selling is proud to bring made in Vietnam products to the world.
Amazon Global Selling, tinh hoa hàng Việt vượt xuyên biên giới.